In the headlines, again, ISWAP abducts 15 persons in Borno State. Kaduna State earmarks 233 teachers for sack over certificate forgery. Farmers in Gombe share experience on impediments to bumper harvest in beans production. And on the foreign scene, India confirms first case of COVID-19 Omicron variant as United Kingdom approves sovitramine for treatment. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Now the news in detail. At least 15 persons have been allegedly abducted by suspected fighters of the Islamic State of West African Province, ISWAP. Daily Trust reports that the victims were abducted in Dambuwa local government area of Borno State. The report said the insurgents struck near Gumsari village in Dambuwa and waylaid motorists and forcefully took them into Sambisa forest. According to Daily Trust reports, some staff of the international non-governmental organizations are amongst the victims, mostly young people who left Dambuwa town while heading for Adamawa on Wednesday. The incident is coming hours after staff of the Borno State Ministry of Works, who were supervising the construction of about 45-kilometer Chibok-Dambuwa road, were kidnapped. Communities in Munya local government area of Niger State have been coerced by the bandits terrorizing the area to supply packs of cigarettes, wraps of Indian hemp to secure release of their family members. Daily Trust reports that a member of the security committee in the area said the items were delivered to bandits on Tuesday before some of their victims were released. The bandits also demand for maize flour, packs of Maggi and 5 jerrycans of petrol, which families had also delivered. Daily Trust recalls that several people in Zazaga, Chibani and other neighboring communities in Munya local government area of the state have been in captivity for the past 2 weeks. Meanwhile, 29 people have so far been confirmed dead, while 13 others still unaccounted for from the canoe boat accident. Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibrin, who visited Bagway local government area, reports that search and rescue operation is still ongoing within the river. His report.
Behind me is Badau village, where the victim are said to have been coming from. According to the resident here, even though there is another route down there that the people can easily follow and pass through to Bagway township, but it's a bit difficult. This is the easiest way they can follow from that Badau village to Bagway township. Now, I asked the people here, they told me that there are about 48 people inside the boat that capsized here, and that about 20 people have died while some are still inside the water. Now there are fire service officials around who are carrying out the rescue operation, but because of the nature of the water, the breeze that is blowing, they cannot enter inside the river as of now. They have to wait until late evening before they enter. In the meantime, there are at least 13 people inside this river that have not been found. So they are going to continue their struggle until they find the remaining people that are inside here. Few others are still in the hospital undertaking treatment here in Bagway. On Tuesday, November 30th, 2021, a group of men, women and children, numbering 49, were said to have left Badau village to Bagway town, where they are attending Maulud.
Daga can karamar hukumar Bagwai Bado kenan yawa za su zo nan karamar hukumar, za su hauro nan karamar hukumar Bagwai, za su je a bisa kan Maulidi, za su je ziyara can karamar hukumar dawakin Tofa. Wannan abu ya faru.
Halfway inside this river, their boat was said to have capsized, killing 20 on the spot. Further search and rescue exercise recovered 9 other victims.
We rescued about 20 people unconscious, then 7 of them alive, and conveyed them to General Hospital for medical attention.
These people are mostly friends and relatives of the victims who are either still inside the river or have been removed for burial. They said the water transportation is the easiest and safest means of transportation for them around this part of Kano State, but there are inadequate modern boats for that purposes.
Sani mu biki ne na haduwa da nan garin da nan zumunci ya haɗu to biki ne ta so ne suna ne ɗaurin aure shine wannan ba zan iya tabbatawa ba suka yi ɗebo ka ba irin kamar yadda gwamnati ta tsara nata ba misali kaga mu namu nan kaga ice ne sai su je sai su yi lodi wanda ya wuce ka'ida magana ta gaskiya kuma a zubo mata da yawa ka ji abin da ya kawo mana wannan matsala magana ta gaskiya
nan ibtila'i tun jiya da dare a zuwa wajen la'asar zuwa magariba aka wani hadarin sakamakon da jirgin ya ɗebo ɗalibai wajen su 45 yana so ya hayo nan to Allah bai daba Allah ya kawo ƙara kwana gaba ɗaya suka abin nan suka rasu.
Meanwhile, the Kano State Fire Service confirmed that officials of the agency will continue to remain on site until the remaining victims are recovered. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
Headquarters of a faction of the All Progressive Congress APC has been set ablaze by protesters suspected to be against the APC faction. The building, located along Maiduguri Road in Kano Metropolis, is less than 3 kilometers from a mobile police barrack at Hotoro area, Taroni local government area. The building housed the head office of the factional group of the APC, led by former Kano Governor Ibrahim Shekarau. The faction is opposed by the second faction, loyal to the incumbent governor, Abdullahi Ganduje. The Kano APC crisis got worse after the State Congress on October 18th, which produced 2 factional leaders, with one loyal to Mr. Ganduje and the other to Mr. Shekarau. In another development, security has been beefed up in Kano following an attack on the campaign office of Senator Barrow Jibrin, a 2023 gubernatorial aspirant in Kano. Jibrin is one of the key members of the Kano APC G7, led by Senator Ibrahim Shekarau, who currently represents Kano North at the Senate. Hoodlums in their hundreds were said to have attacked the campaign office located on Maiduguri Road in the late hours of Wednesday. The affected building is owned by a former Minister of Labour and Productivity, Musa Gwadebi. Meanwhile, police in Kano has arrested thugs carrying dangerous weapons cited attacking and vandalizing the office of Senator Barrow Jibrin, who is representing Kano North Senatorial District along Maiduguri Road, Kano. The 13 suspects were arrested with 34 dangerous weapons, 23 clubs, 2 gallons of suspected petrol, among others. Kaduna State Government has announced plans to dismiss 233 teachers who presented fake certificates. Chairman of the State Universal Basic Education Board, Tijani Abdullahi, stated this at a news briefing on Thursday. The chairman said as part of its responsibility to ensure that all teachers actually have the qualifications they presented, the board launched a certificate verification exercise in April 2021, explaining that the major objective of the exercise is to ensure that teachers have the requisite credentials that constitute the basic qualifications for their employment. He said the board verified 451 certificates by contacting the institutions that awarded the certificates, in which 9 of the 13 institutions contacted responded. Adding that the board will continue to check the integrity of the certificates presented by teachers to ensure that the profession is not devalued by imposters. You're still watching Trust TV News Update. The news continues after this break.
Get latest updates on current topical issues and breaking news by downloading the Trust TV mobile app on your Android devices. Go online, click Google Play Store, search Trust TV, install the app, and get doses of unfiltered information on happenings all over the world in your pocket. Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Let's take a look at our top stories. At least 15 people have been allegedly abducted by suspected fighters of the Islamic State of West African province, ISWAP. And Kaduna State has announced the plans to dismiss 233 teachers who presented fake certificates. Moving on to more news now, beans is consumed in most households in Nigeria. It is also a cash crop that boosts the economic well-being of Nigerian farmers. Cross-section of bean farmers in Gombe State speak to Trust TV's Ibrahim Ismail on the outcome of the 2021 farming season.
How far? Well, the beans we are on it is today we started packing. We don't know what will be of it. But as you can see, the base is good. At least this year, there is a sign of getting a bomber harvest in beans.
Gaskiya na bara ya fi abin nan. Na bara ya fi na bana.
Me yasa ka ce haka?
To, na baran ai kasan kowane shekara banan ga yanayin damunan yadda yake. Sai ayi ruwa ayi sati biyu uku ba a sake ruwa ba shi yasa.
Gaskiya mu kan a wurin mu gaskiya noman waken bana yayi kyau ba laifi gaskiya. Sai dai mu gode Allah amma ɗaya gonan ka waken bai kyau sosai kamar nan ba. Banan dai an dan shuka waken da wuri ne wasu gonakin. Shi yasa waken yayi kyau. Bara kuma da ke yawanci gonakin ba shuka da wuri ba. Shi yasa waken bai kyau.
Gaskiya abin da aka samu bana da na bara bara iya kwatan sama ba a samu ba bana. Domin yanayin da muka samu.
Me kake gani ya kawo haka?
To ina ganin rashi ne ya kawo haka ba taki ba komi.
Meanwhile, Justice Binta Inyako of the Federal High Court in Abuja on Thursday rescheduled the trial of the detained leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, from January 19th to January 18th, 2022. The shift in the trial date followed the abridgment of time granted by the judge following a passionate plea to that effect. The last adjourned date for the trial is January 18th. Trust TV's Maridia Umar now reports.
The leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, was absent in court during the continuation of his trial at the Federal High Court in Abuja. Cancelled Nnamdi Kanu had approached the court with an application seeking an order of the court to accommodate the trial in November and December this year, as against the earlier January 19, 2022 date. Justice Inyako, however, informed Kanu's lawyer that the application for time abridgment cannot be granted because there was no judicial time for such an issue. Following the insistence, Justice Inyako agreed to shift all the cases slated for January 18 to accommodate the trial, which would last till January 19 and 20.
Days past, we have had cause to come before this court to file contempt proceedings against the DGSSS following their flagrant disobedience to court orders. And those applications haven't been had. And we also have incorporated the facts of the manner in which they are flouting these court orders and itemized the orders of the court which they flouted. So those applications are still before the court will inform the court. The court may run out to say, if in the event they proceed to flout any of these orders, the court handed down today, that we should come back to court. And we believe that they will obey court orders made today. We believe strongly, most strongly. So we are coming back on January 18th for the hearing of the application challenging the decision of the court on 18th of January.
We walked away with something, but that's not really what we wanted. We wanted to move that application, challenging the jurisdiction of the court. That is key to our defense strategy. But that we were not able to move that application today is not pleasing to us. But we can understand the procedural constraints within which the court had to operate today. We went through all that, and it was something quite a little bit out of ordinary. But at least we went home. We're going home with something. Improvement in our client's detention conditions is something that has been critical in our own reckoning, and we got that improvement as court order today.
These things amounts to disrespect to the Constitution. This is infuriating. This is inciting. This is unfair. And that's why I feel so bad seeing how these things are going on. And I'm saying that, like I said before, it's supposed to be a prosecution. is not a persecution. And this perception keeps sending message out there that most of these actions are propelled by hate. So if a man cannot be tried transparently with access to all facilities that is required for him to prove his case, then this can turn to become a kangaroo arrangement. Why not just, like I always say, why not send him to Daura and then convict him?
Justice Nyako ordered the Department of State Services to allow Kanu to practice his faith, change his clothes, and be given the maximum possible comfort in the detention facility.
As you can see, the ambience around the Federal High Court in Abuja is rather a rowdy one because the counsel to Nnamdi Kanu and some supporters of Nnamdi Kanu are not really happy about what happened in the courtroom today. They said they sent several applications for consideration, but it was not really looked into.
Martia Umar, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And now, Daily Trust correspondent John Chuks Azun joins us in the studio to discuss this topic. You're welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
All right. So, in discussing the Nnamdi Kanu trial, the last adjournment of the case was actually made to some time in January. So, what actually informs the court's decision to sit today?
Yeah, the case was meant to hold in January. But there have been some pending applications, interlocutory in nature, challenging one aspect of the case or the other, such as the issue of the bail, the issue of accelerated hearing, which was dealt with today, the issue of the mode of his extradition from Kenya, and then the substantive charges are also being challenged by the lawyers, that there is no disclosure of offense according to them in those charges, 7 counts charges of treasonable felony and terrorism. So some of these interlocutory had to be dealt with the court before the main matter. And the court, Justice Binta Nyako, in her wisdom, had suggested earlier that any date they can find within the interim to the next adjourned date could be utilized. And that is what just transpired today.
Okay, so that's the main reason why they decided to sit today.
Yes.
All right, so that is understood. But there have been some calls from certain quarters of finding a political solution to the Nnamdi Kanu issue or securing his release. Even the AGF Malami actually alluded to something like that. So has there been any application to the court to that effect?
Not to our knowledge or to my knowledge, but some comments we've heard that some Igbo sociocultural organizations, even the Attorney General himself had alluded to that, that there could be room or window of political solution which could resolve the whole
matter
in Broglio. So, but in terms of application in court, I haven't heard of any. It's a very different thing because the court is of the judicial arm of government, while the executive is there with their own
So
business.
basically, if we're talking about a political solution, the court might not have any...
Exactly. The court will not have any input. It has to be between the state and the interested parties, especially the defendant himself. And there could be some give and take, some conditions, which they will now go to court to say, oh, we have decided to do this. But without that, the court has to proceed with its own business.
Okay, all right. So usually when Nnamdi Kanu appears in court, there's high drama, there's some chaos and all that. So is there any reason, or is that the main reason why he didn't appear in person?
When you take some interlocutory matters, it's not really compulsory. In some cases in the past, such applications can be taken even without the person physically present. We've had cases where people are in detention, bail request is made without them being present. When Ndume was detained, he was not in court when the application for bail was heard. It is when the determination is made that it will not be executed. In this instance, it was just interlocutory. His presence could be dispensed with at that material time by the court. But of course, the issue of the logistical implications of bringing him to court every day, you know, it's really, really tasking for the security agencies. So I think it was wise that they decided to dispense with his presence while dealing with this presence.
Since his presence was not actually required
It
for
wasn't.
the
It wasn't.
issues. Okay.
Yes.
So, well, thank you very much for coming on the show today. I'm John Chuks Azum, as our correspondent. So thank you very much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah. All right. So we'll take a break now, and the news continues after this. You're welcome back. We'll now take a report on the Kano International Trade Fair that is coming back after a hiatus from the COVID-19 outbreak in 2020. The report.
The 2021 Kano International Trade Fair is organized to consolidate the challenges of COVID-19 pandemic to opportunities for growth and development of micro, small and medium enterprises in Nigeria.
Connecting business to business. That's the main essence of trade fair. It's not the situation whereby you come and sell your products, but you come and showcase your new products or to promote what you have. That's the main essence of the trade fair. And you can see we have a lot of participants from various countries. You can see some of the international flags, and even during the opening ceremony, we host some ambassadors that comes from some countries.
However, occasioned by the COVID-19 effect on global economy, the Kano's trade fair appeared low-key. Although there are present participants from various countries of the world, but they say the showcase is not like before due to the rising cost of goods and services and low turnout of people into this year's trade fair.
Still, it's normal, people is coming the normal, but I say not too much people, but I think this is normal in Kano Trade Fair. The first 5-6 days, not too much people come. But inshallah, there will be movement the week up, the trade fair. I come here before 17 years. Every year I come Kano Trade Fair from Egypt to here.
Meanwhile, micro, small and medium business operators are still trying to set up tents nearly 5 days since the trade fair was declared open.
Actually, last year I never come. 2 years ago I come. The trade fair is very successful, it's very good. So last year I never come because of the corona. But this year I come, but now the business start small. So people is going to complaining, no money because of the COVID. Dollar is too much high. So because of this small effect, but not big issue, but small effect for this thing because the thing is very expensive now for whole world.
The 2021 Kano International Trade Fair is expected to provide opportunities for small-scale businesses to recover after the threats posed by the COVID-19 global pandemic on the state's economy. Idris Juprin, Trust TV News, Kano.
Central Bank of Nigeria on Thursday says Nigeria's external reserves fell by $610 million last month. The governor of the CBN, Godwin Emefiele, stated this at the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria's dinner in Lagos. Emefiele said the figure shows that the reserves dropped to $41.22 billion as of November 29th, from $41.83 billion on October 29th. According to the Apex Bank, at the present level, the external reserves could meet the country's 9-month import demand, noting that the reserves, which had gained $55 billion in October, returned to a downward path in November. And on the foreign scene, India has become the latest country to report cases of the new Omicron coronavirus variant, as regulators in the United Kingdom give approval for the use of monoclonal therapy called sotrovimab to treat those at high risk of developing severe COVID-19 symptoms. The news comes as South Korea's daily coronavirus case numbers rose to a new high, with authorities halting quarantine exemptions for fully vaccinated inbound travelers for 2 weeks in a bid to fend off the new variant in South Africa. In South Africa, where the scientists detected the Omicron variant last week, new infections doubled in a day, signaling a dramatic surge in the country's. The World Health Organization, WHO, says data on how contagious Omicron will be available within days. Meanwhile, the Japanese central bank warned of economic pain as countries tighten containment measures. And with that, we conclude the news update for tonight. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for joining us.